and welcome to No Such Thing as a Bad Movie podcast. I'm April Edmansky, and I'm here today with...
Justin DeClue.
And Colin Cunningham.
That's just my normal voice, you guys. I don't know why you're
You always put it
fun of
That's your
me.
normal voice.
You always put it on when you do the intro.
Yeah,
That's
usually
funny.
it starts
your
with
whole
you
body
going like, hey, it's me, April. All right, let's start the podcast.
I want to sound
Hey,
professional.
everybody.
Yeah, but you should see her body language when it changes when she's.
Does she
doing
go
it.
like full NPR, like little glasses fall on her?
She puts her like hands together like she's being all prissy, like hello. I'm April.
All right, well, it's April, and you know what
It
that
is
means.
April. I'm
It's
Justin.
April the 1st, and this was a wonderful April Fool's joke that you played on us.
It's April the month, and it's Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
Oh,
so
get
one
it?
of us picked this movie, and when you said it, I was like, okay. I have not seen this movie since I saw it in theaters, where I was
Yeah.
disappointed by it.
Don't think me either. I may have caught a little bit of it on TV, like, you know, in the 20
Yeah.
whatever years it's been.
I
since it
think
came
I
out.
watched it on DVD after I saw it in the theater, and that was
Really?
So we all saw it in the theater.
Why? Yeah, I mean, Tim Burton was really big around the time of its release. I think, what was the movie right before this? It was a good one.
Was it Sleepy Hollow?
Yeah, I like Sleepy Hollow.
I like Sleepy
Sleepy Hollow was good.
Yeah.
I was saying, is this kind of the beginning of the end of his?
This is
not,
yeah,
obviously-
absolutely.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
like the end, because obviously he's been making movies since then. But this is like a big, high-profile remake,
Yeah.
and like it sucks. And he's made so many of those since then.
Yeah, it's kind of the beginning of the kind of tarnishing of him in my eyes, I think.
I remember when Big Fish came out right after this, people were like, Tim Burton's back. And it's like, what? He only made Planet of the Apes, but that's how dour it felt at the time after
Yeah,
Planet
it's
of the
so
Apes.
weird.
I thought this was a hit.
I think it.
Like,
I
I'm
think
sure
it
it
was,
made
yeah.
a ton of money.
I think it made money. Yeah.
But yeah, I always hated it. Being a big fan of the original.
Yeah, I'm also a big fan.
I was just. This is one of the first movies I remember really hating, and the other one I talked about on an old Q&A that we did was The Perfect Storm. Two Mark Whalberg movies, and they released within a year of each other. Isn't that
Weird.
funny?
It's funny. I don't remember hating this at the time, but I was crushingly disappointed. Like it was just like,
You were probably coming to it as like a Tim Burton fan.
I was really excited. I loved Planet of the Apes. I'm like, all right, cool. This looks awesome. And then it was just like, what did I watch? It was just so disappointing to me.
Yeah, and while there is some good things in this movie that we'll talk about, and it's also obviously not like the worst thing I've ever seen. It's not Kung Pao into the Fist, but or Son of
How
the
dare you.
Mask, say.
Well, I
Overall,
would rather
it's not
watch,
good.
I mean, I love Kung Pao into the Fist, but I would rather watch Son of the Mask any day than Planet of the Apes. This
No,
film
no.
is so boring.
It's very
Yeah,
dull.
I was
It's
just
very
thinking,
dull.
like, for a movie that's 2 hours long,
Yeah, you
not
feel-
even that much happens.
You feel every minute of
Yeah.
it.
like,
I
it doesn't need to be
vividly
that
remember seeing it in theaters and being like, nothing is happening in this movie. What the
Yeah.
hell is going on?
Yeah, they kind of just go from the Ape City to
to
the end
outer
battle
place,
scene, and that's
then they
it.
stay there, and that's like the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
and
there's like two locations.
There's so little plot. There it does kind of get into like the ape politics, which is the stuff I like. You know, how do we
April is
treat
a big
humans
fan
versus
of the
how we
ape
treat animals.
politics.
I am. It's interesting. But it
Go
was
back
done.
to the Galactic Senate in the Star Wars Empire.
Oh
Phantom Menace.
no! But imagine that, but with apes.
Apes. I mean, that is better. I gotta admit.
But like, I hate that I'm just like gonna compare everything to the what was it, 1968 movie. But that it did. It's like they took away everything good about that story and remade it in the worst way possible to make it less interesting.
Why is Tim Burton making these movies? This is like the question I would
money.
love to ask him. Like, he doesn't need for anything at this point, right?
No, but it's and it's why are you
It's like,
doing
why are you
Dumbo?
making Wednesday the TV show,
Hey,
my
you know
dude?
what's coming out next?
What?
Beetlejuice 2.
Oh, God.
Starring Jenny Ortega.
Yeah,
Yes,
sure,
Lydia.
whatever.
But it's just these horrible looking Alice in Wonderland movies.
Yeah, and Dumbo.
Well,
which
Alice in
I
Wonderland
can't
was the
see
movie that broke him because it was such a massive success.
it
and
made over
was
$1 billion.
so bad.
Yeah.
He did the Big
and then he
Eyes.
did the sequel.
Right, there were two of those Wonderland
There were,
movies?
yeah. I've never seen
Yeah.
either.
No,
but
he
they-
never did the sequel. The sequel was directed by the guy who did the original, the new Muppets movie.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I didn't even know there was a sequel.
Okay,
James
yeah.
Bobbin was his
I
name.
thought he like returned to the well for that.
No,
one because it
Alex.
was like,
Alice Through the Looking Glass is what it was called.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see.
But my God, they just looked like a fucking nightmare, those movies.
It was just nothing but CGI, and at least this movie has lots of practical effects.
Amazing.
In it. And I mean, we can appreciate that.
Yeah,
it was 2001 when this came out.
It's crazy, but just looking at how nuanced the performances are, like through these masks, like
Yeah, Rick Baker is the best at what he does.
just incredible.
And yeah, you cannot deny how good that looks. And unfortunately, I just wish the story was better, or like just do the original story again. Also, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was saying this is the first time I remember the word reimagining being thrown
Did they
around.
say we're going back to the source material?
Yeah, and I think it was like, I was like, what the hell does that mean? And he's like, no, it's not a remake. It's a reimagining. We're taking like the concept and then sort of,
Changing the story.
And can
changing
we
it.
make it shittier and not as good?
And just really,
But they
really
have
boring.
like similar ape antagonists, but they changed their names, and so they're doing similar things as the original apes, but they're different, and
kind
it's
of.
annoying to me.
And the
Yeah.
biggest change right from the beginning is, can we go from the most charismatic man in the world, Charlton
Yes.
Heston, to the most boring performance we
God.
could ever get?
What like how
I think they just picked
miscast
him
is
because
Mark
he was
Whalberg in
popular
this?
at the time.
He probably was, but holy shit,
the
he's
big hit just came out.
he's
What is Tim Burton asking of him? Like, do
I don't
nothing,
know.
Mark. Do nothing.
he can't even muster the energy to, he shows
Yeah.
like no reaction to being on a planet where fucking animals are talking.
He shows no reaction to being on a space station, like
Well,
at
I
the
mean,
beginning either.
Sure, because that's
guess
what
that's
he
his home,
that's what he
but-
knows. That's his home. But he's on this planet, and then at one point he just doesn't even look surprised. And then he just at one point says like, how did all these monkeys get like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm,
And that was a
I'm gonna
line.
go get my chimp.
How did
Like-
these monkeys get like this? And then that was a line in the trailer. And every time me and my friends saw one another, we were like, how do all these monkeys get like this?
This might be one of the worst Mark Whalberg performances I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a worse one than this.
He's horribly miscast.
I haven't seen those Peter Berg movies.
I don't
so-
know. What about The Happening?
Well, the
Oh,
thing
well,
is,
he's
like,
funny in The
it's not
Happening,
his
though.
fault that
Yeah.
he's bad in that, because everyone's bad.
It's just he's
No.
miscast.
What? No.
Yeah,
And I mean,
he's just-
like,
But he's so
yeah, at least he's entertaining in that.
he needs to be. He's one of those actors like he has no versatility, but he's very, very good when he gets the exact right role and the exact good right director, I should say.
Yeah, and like I can really only think of two performances that I was like, "You're great." Well, maybe more.
Not
Of
Departed. I
course.
thought he was,
How can we
yeah.
forget David O. Russell's I Heart Huckabee?
That's one of the ones I was
Oh,
thinking
God.
of, Justin. I'm not even joking.
I know.
He plays a firefighter, but yeah, so he's great in that. He's great in The Departed. He can play a cop. He can play
he can play
porn
a
star.
Boston cop.
Yeah. So and yeah, he was probably okay. What was that? The Wrong Guys. That was okay.
Oh, yeah, he was
him and
funny in
Will
that.
Ferrell.
Him and
he's
Will
all right.
Ferrell.
The
Yeah.
poster, they're like on shooting guns.
Yeah, he just needs a director that can handle him and direct him well, because
But
I
Tim
think
Burton's not a bad director.
he's not a
Tim Burton would
great-
admit that he's not a very good storyteller, that is not his forte.
Yeah,
His
I
forte
don't
is
think
like
he-
design and visual sense. And there is nothing in this movie.
Yeah, they're
Nothing.
Man, it's,
I disagree. The costumes look great.
They're great.
fine.
Yes.
Sets are boring as heck.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
Yeah.
If you squint, you can be like, oh, I guess where the spaceship crashed looks like kind of Tim Burton-ish. And
Kind of.
Yeah.
I was missing on the Tim Burton feel in this movie big time.
The only time I think you get a taste of that is the many, many matte painting lockoffs that you see.
Sure.
Like there's so many establishing matte paintings of them leaving the city, going to the city, and they stand out so much. They just look so phony.
I think that
It's
was
stylized.
probably stylized, yeah. As,
But it
you know.
just doesn't mesh with the look of the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is very weird. So I was expecting so much more, when I saw this movie, and it was just a crushing disappointment.
Yeah, and I was
man.
hoping revisiting it, over 20 years later, maybe I would like it.
No,
but
it's-
no, it is one of my least favorite movies.
Oh, it's so dull.
That's a little much, but
So-
yeah.
Is it the worst Tim Burton movie? I think
No.
Well,
I haven't seen like
I haven't
most
You
seen
haven't
the
seen
newer
Miss
ones.
Pettigrew's Home for Peculiar Children?
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen Big Eyes.
I did read that book, though.
Big
Big
Fish,
Eyes is
I did-
okay. Big Eyes has a script by the guys who wrote Ed Wood, so there's something there.
Okay.
Who wrote Planet of the Apes? I'm sure it's like some high-profile person.
Oh, probably. I have
Yeah,
no
I
idea.
haven't seen like any of his later ones, so I think the last one I saw was.
Oh,
Sweeney
you know what?
Todd.
Alice in Wonderland is probably the worst Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't.
This is not the worst.
I can't judge. I haven't seen anything probably from Alice in Wonderland on, so I don't really know.
So you did see Alice in Wonderland.
No, sorry. Okay,
You
so
did.
from
Yeah.
whatever was before that, I don't know.
Dark
which one.
Shadows.
Oh, I couldn't even get through that movie.
I didn't see
It's like a
was
collection of
so-
deleted scenes, as my pal
so-
Matthew Kumar said.
So bad. It is like almost unwatchable.
It's a shame though, because also that Willy Wonka movie, like his stuff pre 2000 is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like damn,
I mean, yeah. I mean, Ed Wood alone is
including Sleepy Hollow.
yeah.
Was it the advent of, I want to say CGI, but it's not really, because like he had CGI in Mars Attacks, but
Yeah.
I don't like
used
Mars
to
Attacks very much.
Mars Attacks is okay.
It's fun.
It's alright.
I would like it better if the aliens were stop motion like they originally intended.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been.
They
I
got
was
so
like-
close.
I
They
know.
had the whole studio and they fired them all.
Is Mars Attacks after Apes?
I don't.
No,
think
it's
so.
before. Yeah, Mars Attacks, Sleepy Hollow, Planet of the Apes. That's the order.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the helmets in the end of Planet of the Apes looked like the Mars Attacks like alien helmets. I was like, I was getting flashbacks.
What, the
If
big
people are wondering,
elongated-
like, why haven't they gotten to the plot of this movie? There's not a lot of plot in this
No,
film. Like, almost
no.
nothing happens.
I was shocked.
Yeah, it's really not trying to say anything either. So
2 hours. This
Yeah.
DVD has one of the most sleepy commentaries you've ever heard.
Oh, his commentaries are the worst.
Yes.
His Boogie Nights one was pretty bad.
No,
if I
not
recall.
Marky Mark.
Oh,
Tim Burton.
I
Yeah.
thought
Tim
you were
Burton.
talking about Mark Whalberg.
I can't remember what I listened to. I think it might have been Sleepy Hollow, but it was just him on his own, and it was just like, oh yeah, here's like the tree.
Yeah,
I hate
I'm
commentaries
I'm
with
legally
just one
obligated
person.
to make this commentary
The
track.
only commentary I ever listened to with just one person that was good was Justin DeCluse for Teddy Bomb.
Yeah, there you go.
Because you never stop talking. You just
Yeah.
always have a ton to say about what's going on. And
Single ones that are good are like Robert Rodriguez, Guillermo del Toro. Like they have a lot of stuff to say about the
Yeah,
movie.
Guillermo is really funny, entertaining, especially
But-
the Blade 2 one.
Like in the early 2000s, like I think were legally obligated to do commentary tracks.
You
And they
could
didn't want
probably
to.
tell.
Yeah.
It was just like the new
Yeah.
thing. Like, Spielberg's never done one, I don't think.
No,
He's-
but AI has like hilarious, like, I guess it's the second unit production designers doing a commentary. And Jude Law on AI. Yeah.
I remember in a film class we got to listen to Martin Scorsese and I think Thelma Schoonmaker commentary for Raging Bull, and
Yeah, that's a good one.
It was great. I was like, yeah,
I
he
believe
is
those
someone who
ones
has a lot to
are
say.
edited commentary tracks because those are
Oh, yeah.
Criterion releases. So
So it's not like
early
specific
on,
to what's happening on screen.
Yeah. Well,
No, he
sometimes it
was
is,
talking, but he was talking about stuff that was happening on screen.
Yeah,
so.
they're edited down. Like they take like 30 people and then they edit them into like one commentary track. So it's scene specific, but it's like a bunch of different people. And they don't
Gotcha,
do that
gotcha.
anymore because it's way too much work.
Yeah. Anyway, so
we
this
should get
movie
into the movie.
Ugh.
starts off on a really boring space station.
Well, even before that, I was getting like, oh no vibes when it just sort of redoes the opening credits from Batman.
Which you had to tell me, but I believe you. And I was like, what am I seeing?
Yeah, it's just
And,
close-up shots of like, kind of relief sculptures of like apes. You don't even know what you're seeing, and then it kind of pulls back at the end, and it's
the armor.
It's the armor and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, he kind of did this in Batman, and then that was the first sign in the movie where I was like, oh no.
You're already scared for things to come.
Yeah, and then we open up on the space station Oberon in space. Kind of an interesting design, but
Kind of reminded me of that new Cloverfield Paradox.
Yeah,
space
is it an
station.
interesting design? It's kind of boring. It's like that like that early 2000s. This is what space will look like very sleek.
it's a little too clean. And I will say the model is horribly under detailed. They do use models in this movie,
Which I like.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix of like some CGI scenes, but mostly models. But yeah, this thing looks like it wasn't meant to be shot very close up.
Yeah.
And they do shoot it very close up, and you can see it kind of looks like a toy. Like it's very clean. But
Well,
yeah,
what are you gonna do?
and then we see a chimpanzee.
What's his name? Damocles or
Pericles.
Pericles?
And yeah, he's like, you find out it's like a simulation because he's crashing into Earth, and then Mark Whalberg steps out.
Now,
you
I
doing
am
there?
pro gorilla, and I'm not a fan of chimpanzees.
You're
Really?
anti-chimp.
I'm
Why
not
is that?
anti-chimp. Chimps don't have, I don't know, that, like a guy in a chimp suit is terrifying. That's Ed, which we talked about.
Or was that Every Which Way But Loose?
Yeah,
That's
not.
another guy
Oh,
in
that's
a
an.
chimp
Oh, wait, that's
suit.
an orangutan.
That's an orangutan.
Oh, it's an orangutan. Never mind.
Yeah,
Actual
orangutan is like
orangutan.
halfway between a chimp and a gorilla. So
Oh, that's
you know.
Clint Eastwood you're talking about.
Yes, that's right.
He's an
Wait,
actor.
who did she say? Did you think it was?
He was saying Clint Eastwood was the
No,
orangutan.
she said it's a guy in a suit. And I said, no, that's Clint Eastwood.
But yeah, chimps are small, so they're rarely a person in a suit.
Except for Ed. Except for Ed.
Yeah, Ed was
Yeah.
a guy in a suit.
Unusually large chimp.
Check out a very, very old episode we did on that.
Chimps also will rip your testicles and lips off.
And your face.
And your face.
Yeah,
So,
as we all know. But
They're very
who's to say
specific about-
gorillas won't do that?
They're very specific. No, gorillas will just smash you.
Crush you, yeah.
Yeah, they just like.
That's what's so crazy about Tim Roth in this movie is that he's like 10 feet shorter than every other monkey, and yet he is the big angry bad guy. And
Yeah.
he has presence.
He's very like one note. It's whatever. It's a kind of fun performance, but man, he is seething with anger in every single scene.
I don't know how he kept that, like every scene he's just like about to explode. Like how did he? I mean, you have to
I
act
don't
big
know.
when you're wearing that much
And he
makeup.
kind of
but yeah.
talks like this the
Yeah.
entire time. I'm like, man, you must have been drinking.
was
tea
this a
with
hot
lemon.
ticket to like be one of the gorillas or apes in Planet of the Apes?
I feel
probably,
yes.
yeah. I mean,
But you have to be able to withstand all that prosthetics,
just
and that must
grueling.
have been like 10 hours to put that shit on or something like that.
it was
Maybe
it
not,
sounded brutal. Yeah, I remember seeing some behind the scenes where they all had to go to like ape school to learn how to. Bless you.
How many students do you think ape school has?
Oh, remember Cats? They went to cat school.
They're
Yeah.
like, oh, we got to close down ape school. wait, we just got an order in. Planet of the Apes is being remade.
That'd be
Oh
like
my
a
God.
great. That
Well,
should be
I
like.
mean, remember all those new Planet of the Apes movies?
Yeah.
Ape School's back in business.
No, that sounds like an '80s Mark Harmon movie or something. Like,
Ape School.
Ape School.
Well, you know that all of the apes were trained by Terry Notary, who's made his, business training people to act like animals.
Even back in 2000, that was.
Oh, is that him?
You know
Or are you
what?
talking
I'm
about the
checking
new
right
movies?
now. I feel like it is
He
because
did
he
all the
did
new
all the
ones.
original Planet, the new Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Movies.
Rise and the CGI ones.
Which, I mean, do you guys want to talk about that?
No, we have to talk about this movie.
We'll
April.
talk about the new ones at the end.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway,
Oh,
so
he absolutely was. He
All
was the
right.
choreographer, coach, ape movement, and movement coach on this film.
Wow.
cool.
There
Well,
you go.
good for him.
His previous credit, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. He was the movement coach of Grinches, I guess.
Oh my God.
All right, let's get to the apes. So right now we've
get to the
we've
apes,
got a space station that
Where's
has
the
a
apes?
room full of different kinds of apes,
Chimps.
of chimps, orangutans, gorillas.
Kept in cages like the slaves that they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Mark Whalberg. This is like the Air Force or something. I don't know, a Space Force, and so they're training chimps to fly. I don't know, to pilot.
Do they explain like this phenomenon that they run into, or
No.
like were they going to it? Did it just show up?
I think it just showed up.
Are they in front of a planet? Like maybe we weren't paying attention, but it felt like they didn't explain like who they are, why they're out there.
I
you
think they
know?
were just training chimps to fly these missions so that humans wouldn't be lost.
But like
whatever.
Mark Whalberg has a real problem with this right off the bat. He's like, "Put me in there. Why are we training chimps? We gotta put someone in there with a brain." I don't know why he thinks that would be him, but so they
You've
run
been
into
burned, Marky Mark.
He watches like a
feel
video of
that?
like his friends at home being like, "Hey man, it's been 2 years. We're having a party." I half expected like his wife to be like, "Hey, nice to see you. I met this other guy." You know, like what was that?
And he's an ape. He's like, no.
I think they did that joke on Moonbase 50 or whatever.
and that's
did
like
they?
his. That's
Yeah.
why he hates apes.
Oh,
And
what?
he's
Moonbase 50.
Moonbase something. It's the Tim Heidecker and Fred Armisen and
John C. Reilly
John C.
show.
Reilly
It's
show.
really
Very
funny.
funny. Moonbase something.
Moonbase 8.
8. Yeah, it's really good. It's very like quaint.
It's cute. Okay, so they run into some kind of
some
subspace-
electromagnetic storm or something like that, and then they
Well, it's probably like a wormhole, right? Because you know that
we know that it's a wormhole.
yeah, we know it's a wormhole.
as Interstellar would let you know that time is relative if you
Yeah,
go in a
yeah.
wormhole.
Mark Whalberg, he's not going to know what a wormhole is. It's like, you know,
Is that where worms come from?
yeah, and then he's like, and then he
They
goes,
send the monkey out.
send the monkey out, and Pericles, he disappears into this storm, and then Mark Wahlberg just steals
Yeah,
like
he just
another
goes.
spaceship,
Like
and he flies out, and he goes, never send a chimp to do a man's job.
so he goes.
It's like
in.
Marky Mark was in the room with me.
Hey,
Mar-
bro, it's like watching
Marky,
the.
yeah, can you tell me? Oh, are you doing live commentary? On
Yeah,
Planet
sure.
of the Apes?
That'd be amazing. Yeah, sure, bro. You know, Tim Burton, he's in the other room doing his commentary.
Snoozeville.
Snoozeville, wow, this movie's really fucking boring.
Let me go back in my cryogenic chamber that I
Yeah.
do every morning.
Why would he even give a shit about this ape flying and being lost in a storm? It's like that's the reason why you're sending these things out.
Because he's created a connection with the ape,
He
Colin.
made it seem like he actually didn't care about the chimp, and he just wanted to make a name
just
for
2
himself.
seconds later. So this
Yeah.
is really So he's like a hot shot. He's like a Top Gun Maverick.
He's a maverick.
You know.
Yeah.
So he flies out after this chimp, which again is the whole reason why humans aren't allowed to fly, so you don't want to lose a human. But then we find out later that the Oberon goes in search of Mark Wahlberg
And
ends
kills
up crashing
everybody
and kills
on it.
everybody.
Screwed he screwed the pooch
So
on
it's
that one,
like,
yeah.
you idiots.
Which is so much worse than the original movie, which is a group of scientists are on a space station. They do run into some kind of weird phenomena while they're in cryosleep, and when they wake up, it's not just one guy, it's multiple guys, but some of them, their cryosleep thing fucked up, so they died of old age in there, and then there's
There's
multiple
like
people.
I think like 3 people. So
Yeah.
there's like a group dynamic,
Yeah.
have there, like Charlton Heston's like the kind of cynical, he's a cynic. He doesn't believe in the goodness of humanity and blah, blah, blah. But here you have nothing. Like
You've
just
got a
nothing.
blank slate, and I mean real blank slate. And I mean, it's okay to have an everyman, but he has to have charisma, and he just doesn't.
Man.
Not in
yeah.
this movie, anyway.
Yeah, he crashes into a swamp. And then we meet, Chris Christopherson,
Yeah.
who
From Blade.
dressed like a caveman.
Hey, it's me, Chris Christopherson. How's it going?
He also is.
Have you
barely
met
in
my
this movie.
daughter, who is weirdly wearing so much makeup?
Holy crap! There are
get me
points.
started.
She's clearly wearing like lipstick and like
Somebody, dude, her lips are about to explode.
She just got injections. Okay, I'm popping off on Nova, who is not even named Nova because the names are different.
It's like
but
it's like Danny or
she is.
Dana.
She makes
Dana.
Mark Whalberg look like a good actor in this. She's quite possibly the worst actress I've ever seen.
This is Estella Warren from Driven.
Not the Driven we all know, a different Driven.
Not the Mark Dacascos.
Yeah.
no,
the
no, not
Sylvester
that's
Stallone.
Drive, not the Sylvester Stallone Driven.
Yeah, yeah.
So what Driven?
A different Driven.
With Mark Dacascos. I thought it was Mark Dacascos.
No,
That's
you're thinking of
Drive.
something else. This is a completely different movie from
you're
2000. Oh, no, that's a different Driven. Oh my God, there's so many movies called Driven. There's one that came out in 2018 with Jason Sudeikis in it.
Oh my
Jesus.
God.
We have to do Driven at some point because I worked on
I know
that
you worked on it.
very briefly.
I've never. You know what? I've never seen it.
Neither have I.
Didn't you say that like the director was sleeping with this woman and that's why she?
Okay, this is what I heard. The director was Rennie Harlan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was apparently sleeping with Estella Warren. I cannot confirm if this was true. And then my friend knew a friend that would deliver drugs to Rennie Harlan's room every
Rennie
night.
Harlan taking drugs? I don't believe
He
that.
said he
No
would
way.
deliver cocaine and Viagra. This is okay. Again, this is all alleged. I
Slap
don't
his
know.
dick in the cocaine, sniff the Viagra.
Yeah, I remember talking to crew members, and they're like, "Yeah, Rennie parties like till 6 a.m, and he'll show up to set and like start directing." And I'm like, "Oh my god, how does he do that?" Anyway,
So
He's
he's
just asleep
banging
in his
the chick.
chair.
well, she's I think she's Canadian. She's from Peterborough or something.
Is she?
Oh, good
Yeah,
for her.
she's like a model or something. Obviously,
Obviously, she's a model. She's
Cannot-
pretty.
She cannot act.
No,
Holy
and like
moly.
she has way too big of a role in this to be someone who is not an actress. And like, I really don't understand why they made it so the humans can talk. It makes sense in the original that they can't talk because they are
it's
the
weird
less
that they can
intelligent
talk.
species. Yeah, if they can talk and form a society, then why would they even be under the apes? And also,
how did slavery happen in any
you know
part
what
of the
I mean,
world,
though?
right?
Like, it doesn't make any sense. They have to be biologically, I guess, inferior or something. I don't know.
No, April, you're going down a really bad path.
Well,
here.
I'm thinking of like the original movie, because like, well, I mean, they've been hunting them, so they don't like let them form societies.
Yeah.
But then
And
later,
also,
like whole villages show
the
up.
apes and gorillas are much more physically stronger than the human beings.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, and they're intelligent
them
as
for
well.
sport
But
and-
when you cut people off from, like technology and writing and I don't know, eventually you'll
Culture.
kind of like culture,
Arts and culture.
Well, it's funny because I don't remember the human characters in this movie speaking at all. I'm like, I don't think Chris Christopherson does speak.
He doesn't say much.
but he's talking right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd think if the apes heard
Because
him
it seems
speak-
to indicate at first that like maybe Mark Wahlberg, like Charlton Heston, will be special because he can talk and nobody else can.
Yeah.
Not true.
No, he's not special for any reason other than he knows that his
Wow, he's a
pod-
hot dude that
Yeah.
the Helena Boehm, I can't say her name, Carter wants to have ape sex
she
with.
is
We'll get to
so
that.
horny for him in this movie. It's incredible.
But anyway, my other point about the humans versus the apes, they make it very clear that the apes can't swim. They're terrified of water. And then Nova goes, "That's why every day we pray for rain." Okay, so if you are hunted by this species that cannot swim, wouldn't the humans then have developed, they would be like the Avatar Way of the Water people. They would live in the water because they can swim.
Right.
So wouldn't they be like, in the original, there was no water anywhere. They must have filmed it in like, complete desert area.
Wow, and you know what? That is true. Along with the other great apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, and humans, bonobos, I guess that's an ape kind, cannot swim.
Well,
Yeah, I didn't know that, but I guess it's just the way their bodies are shaped.
Unless you're a baby, because you've seen those videos, right? That they drop like newborn babies in water and they can swim.
yeah, it might be their proportions or
monkeys?
something like that. Yeah, I've
No,
never
like
seen-
human
Well,
babies.
human babies can.
Oh, human
Yeah.
babies can. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But
Then we lose it.
Yeah, but then humans can learn to swim. But anyway, it's just a dumb movie.
yeah, it's just very weird. So yeah, they're always treating the humans as if they don't have souls or something, but it's like, but they don't even make an effort. Okay, so Mark Whalberg is captured immediately by all these like wired up gorillas and apes and stuff like that. A lot of wire work in this movie. Holy
Oh,
crap!
boy.
It was like Crouching
Like,
Tiger.
did Tim Burton just discover wire work? Like, it's wild.
Seemingly, yeah.
All the apes are like shot out of cannons when they move.
I know, and it's like, in this fantastical world, I guess apes can jump 100 feet in the air,
Yeah.
but they can't do that normally. So I guess they're just having fun. They're like, hey, we got a wire budget. Let's just use it.
Yeah, it's like some Cirque du Soleil show or something that I'm
It totally
watching.
is.
It's like so crazy. There are scenes like I think Tim Burton said that he wanted them to be more acrobatic than they were in the original, which okay, I kind of get. They're kind of jumping and climbing up things.
They
you know?
definitely move more like apes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, they do. Yeah, shot out of cannons.
Like, there's a scene where they run out of the forest, and like I think it's a Tim Roth ape
Yeah.
is like just blown like above the tree line.
He's like Superman. Like he can jump over tall buildings.
Yeah, he does it multiple times in this movie. It's really
Yeah,
funny.
I mean some of the other apes do too. It's not just
yeah,
a
it's really good. Yeah, especially at the end. There's this wire work crazy.
Like, so you're a studio head and you're watching dailies of this film. Are you like, God, Mark Wahlberg's subtle performance will allow it to cut through the noise of all these overacting apes?
Yeah, it's the apes are the star.
Well, I gotta say, the apes are overacting, and when they do it, it's correct because you need.
Paul Giamatti,
Paul
come on,
Giamatti and-
he's the savior of this movie
Yeah,
for me.
and
He's
a
like
couple of the other
he's like
apes.
chewing and spitting every
the
line.
best.
I like just want a whole movie of him
Yeah.
because he's so charismatic, and it really like sets itself apart from
Yeah.
the humans and some of the apes.
You
too.
realize how bad everybody else is. It was the humans specifically.
Yeah, the ape cast is pretty
They're
good.
pretty good, yeah.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah, he's great. the Shang Tsung is good.
Kerry Tagawa.
Kerry Tagawa. Also Helena Bonham, while she's playing it a little more straight. I mean, she's good in this.
Her makeup is so weird.
She has like a bob, which monkeys don't have, but whatever. They had to make her hot, and it's weird.
But it's only so that you're not repulsed.
We need audiences to want to fuck this ape.
But
because they kiss.
I think they want to make it you not repulsed by the fact that she wants to bone Mark Wahlberg so
and
badly.
she's all over him immediately, and that's not what I remembered.
Constantly looking.
I mean,
at
that kind
him.
of happens in the Charlton Heston version too.
Yeah, but
there's that
it's
famous
not-
ape kiss at the end.
Well,
Just at the
it's
end,
not as
though.
sexual. She's like, "Hi, Bright Eyes."
Well, it's
You know,
more
she's-
sexual in the original version. Here, it's a little, they kiss at the end, a little peck on the cheek.
It's
No.
it's 100%
He
sexual
says, he
in
goes,
this version.
"May I kiss you?" And she says, "Okay, but you're so damned ugly."
Exactly.
So she does not want to kiss
She's
him.
enraptured with him because he can talk.
Yeah.
There's a reason
I can
for her.
sing.
Best.
Can I play the piano anymore?
Of course you can.
I couldn't before.
One of my favorite gags from that is like, have you ever heard of Planet of the Apes? The movie or the planet?
What was the Elvis parody?
Just go watch the Simpson episode that stars Troy McClure.
A Planet with Some Apes.
The Planet with Some Apes.
That was the Mad TV parody we watched.
Yeah. And he's singing, monkey business, monkey business.
I'm surprised there hasn't been a Planet of the Apes musical. That seems like a
Yeah.
Broadway fiasco waiting to happen.
The Simpsons have written it for you.
Yeah.
Dude, just
Yeah.
do that.
There's a musical of everything else. Like,
But you
come
think
on.
it would turn into like Spider-Man Fight the Dark or whatever?
Well, if
it
they,
is?
Too
do
many
the,
apes.
if they do the wire work like they're doing in this movie, then yes.
Oh, it'd be like 50 people dead every episode or every performance. It'd be like
Dr. Zayas.
cracking
Yeah.
skulls on the
April's
stage.
right. Like all the apes are doing insane wire work, like flying through the air. I can't see in this makeup.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
What are those things?
Paul
that-
Giamatti returning as his ape character.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Oh, he's so good.
I
in
think his name is
this.
Limbo.
Limbo.
But he's funny, and okay. Another thing that this movie suffers from, although the makeup is amazing.
Yeah, Rick
you know,
Baker. Did he win an Oscar for this? I
He
feel
did,
like
yeah,
he did.
yeah.
Yeah,
He should have.
It was a-
rightfully so.
Yeah.
It was originally supposed to be Stan Winston, and he.
Well,
uh,
Stan Winston is a delegating at this point of time in his career.
Yeah, I think so. But I follow his Instagram profile, or that of his company anyway, and they would post old tests that they did, and one was like Stan Winston and his son had dressed up like apes. They look amazing, like really good, and they were showing how emotive they could be.
Is that like from the 90s then?
Yeah, so he
cool,
originally signed on, and he was doing the makeup of this movie, and then left for creative differences.
I see. Well, that would have looked really good too. You know?
Oh yeah, it looked amazing.
And I like that how far CGI really came.
Oh,
with
I
those
wonder
new
if it's
movies.
because I'm looking at some clips here. Is that it looks like Stan Winston was going for a more realistic look
Yeah.
than the stylized kind of like harkening back to the original Planet of the Apes look.
it's possible, yeah.
But yes, the apes are stylized in this for sure, but they still look like. It's kind of a combo of these are regular apes versus these are apes that have evolved to be more
Like a kind of
human-esque a little
ape.
bit.
I think
Yeah.
only Helena Bonham Carter's makeup kind of resembles the original. Like she's a little too human. It looks like some weird like Dr. Moreau
Zero,
experiment or
yeah.
something. But I remember when it came out, everybody was saying she looked like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Which is kind of true.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's just weird because like none of the other apes look like that.
No, but yeah, there's not like that big of a cast of apes, and I was thinking like looking at like the ape extras, trying to spot like some bad masks, and I couldn't really see any.
No,
so.
they're good. Like even the close-ups, like when I think it was Tim Roth, speaking, you could just see all like the muscles going like in his face. It was pretty incredible.
Okay, speaking of speaking, we need to talk about
yeah,
how bad the apes sound.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Yeah, they all have that like kind of when you've got like fake teeth in your mouth.
I'm talking with fake teeth in my mouth.
Yeah, it never works, especially like Michael Clark Duncan.
Apes would be great for our society. If we talk properly like this.
It's
Wouldn't
weird.
they just like redub all the performances?
You would
Isn't
think
that what you
so.
would usually do with this type of movie?
Well, I guess it's because like then you're gonna lose some of the
The immediacy of the
immediacy.
Okay,
performance.
Tom Hooper.
But what's his name?
Otho?
Paul Giamatti.
Oh, Paul Giamatti.
He seems to come out unscathed from that, and I don't know whether it's because they dubbed him or he just like he knows how to work this character.
I don't know.
Yeah, Glenn Shaddix is his name.
Yeah.
He played Otho in Beetlejuice. He comes in as like a orangutan, I think. They dubbed him, and it sounds amazing, and they should have done it for everybody.
I know. It was a baffling decision,
Yeah.
and I feel bad for the actors
Ugh,
because
man.
they're doing a good performance, but they can't. We were like, we need subtitles.
Yeah,
for
especially
that dinner scene.
Helena Bonham Carter, especially, is like kind of mush mouth, like.
Yeah. So anyway, just to get back to the plot briefly, all the humans are captured. We have this ape dinner scene, and then the humans all escape. And
Doesn't this ape society feel so small in this
Yeah.
movie too?
Yeah.
It feels like very confined to like one set on a soundstage or something.
it
If
looks
you made it
tiny.
now, it'd be like a Blade Runner future of apes.
Yeah, that's what it's just like. You kind of just see this establishing matte painting of it, and then you never really get a sense of the scale of it. It's all very kind of
it looks like Hobbit Town. Like
Dense.
there's just like a couple of houses.
And it's like the couple of houses are all beside each other because like the big set piece of them slowly running through a bunch of houses, they just go through the rooms of people we've already seen in the movie.
They kind of Ferris Bueller it, but they make it look insanely easy to escape. But it's like
Yes.
the humans had never thought to escape before Mark Wahlberg taught them how, I guess.
Yeah.
Just stupid.
hey, we got to escape from this place.
And then she goes, not without my family. So she has to go and get the little girl and Chris Christopherson and then they escape.
And that's it. And it's just like they go to the second location, and
And then like Tim Roth is like, okay, we got to go get them. We forgot to mention David Warner.
Yeah, he's
one of
great.
the-
Oh yeah,
like
he's
the
good.
head-
He
he's like
doesn't
the head
appear
ape.
that much.
No,
he's
no,
only
I
in
wish he
the
was in more.
the
I
one
wonder
scene.
if David Warner is a guy that's just like, I don't want to act that much because it feels like he just stopped acting for like
Well,
20 years
he was
ago.
pretty old.
Yeah, well, he kind of showed
That's
it.
the
That-
best. I love.
I mean,
him.
he did pass away in 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he died recently.
Yeah. He's great. Anytime he shows up, you know it's going to be great. I was telling April about Time After Time, movie with David Warner as Jack the Ripper and Malcolm McDowell as H.G. Wells. Mm-hmm. And then he pursues Jack the Ripper to the 80s via his functioning time machine.
Sounds like a much funner time travel story than this.
Yeah, it is.
Which, by the way, Mark Wahlberg still hasn't figured out that he's in the future.
Mark Whalberg does not look shocked at all by any of this happening.
No.
anything. It's just like
Yeah, it's apes, huh? Yeah,
Oh,
okay,
God.
cool.
just the worst.
Yeah,
like,
so like Carrie Tanaga and
Tanaga.
and Helena Helena Bonham Carter join the humans.
Yeah,
and
Carrie-
they all escape.
Yeah, Carrie Tagawa is like the butler for David Warner.
Yeah. David Warner is Helena's dad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like some disgraced general, and I think like General Thade, played by Tim Roth, like I don't know, got him booted from the ape army or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
So
He
I don't
probably
know.
insulted him or something.
Yeah, who knows?
We forgot to mention my least favorite part of this movie, which happens twice, which is at the beginning when Mark Wahlberg first gets to the apes and he touches Michael Clark Duncan's foot and he says, "Get your damn paws off me, you damn
You dirty human.
Ugh.
And my brain flew out of my head. We know we're watching a remake.
I know.
Why do they do this? And this was something that really bugged me at the time. It's so stupid. Why do they do this? Are we supposed to think that we're supposed to
This
go,
is yes.
remember the old movie?
Yes.
It's stupid. And then
I
they do
know.
it again when Charlton Heston has his cameo.
Oh God,
He's Thade's dad, granddad?
I think it's his father.
Father, yeah. And then he's like explaining how there used to be humans. They had guns and we suppressed them and there's this big secret.
They're kind of like burying this history that the humans actually, because like Thade goes to him for, I don't know, counsel, I guess. He's like, oh, we
Yeah.
found this spaceship. Mark Wahlberg's actually not from this planet. He's like, don't tell anybody. And he's like, by the way, like, break this vase or whatever.
And
Ancient
after
vase.
this particular sentence, I have said everything I need to say and will now die.
And that like thing Ern is apparently thousands of years old because
Yeah.
they say that the ship has been there for thousands
The
of
Oberon
years. Which
crashed
makes sense.
thousands of years ago.
So he crashes, and there's a gun inside, and
Of course.
so they were hiding the truth that humans came first.
Right.
I
Yeah.
guess.
That they were the sort of dominant species.
And then he says,
Ugh.
what does he
Damn
say?
them to
Damn them
hell."
all to hell.
And then he dies.
yeah.
Can we point out as well that like Mark Whalberg in this movie is the most boring protagonist who does nothing and has no,
He barely has any agency.
agency at all.
Yeah. He just sort of goes around. But I was laughing at this Charlton Heston scene because Tim Roth had said that if he had known he was filming with Charlton Heston, he would not have taken the role in the movie.
Because it's like
He hates
disrespectful.
He
kinda?
hates the NRA.
Oh shit!
He's very anti-NRA, and
Well,
he never
don't
said he
blame
never
him.
forgave like Charlton Heston for being like their spokesperson. And
Yeah.
So he was just like, oh, I just had to.
Wait, did Charlton Heston fool him in the ape makeup?
I think that maybe it was kept as a surprise or something like that.
Maybe they didn't know if they were going to get him until like later.
Yeah, but he
like-
said he wouldn't have taken it if he had known, so he just had to like, go through with it and just be a professional.
Oh, poor Tim Roth.
Yeah, well, whatever.
But so like they go to this space station, and there's a little bit of Mark Whalberg showing them, hey, this is how
It's like the
technology works.
yeah, it's like the forbidden zone.
The forbidden. They call it something different in this movie. I think they call
Yeah,
it the
because
forbidden
it's like-
area or something.
Yeah, it's a sign that is covered up with dirt, and it's like caution, don't approach or something like that.
Oh no, it's
Yeah, there's
Kalima.
Like, yeah, which is the V'ger. There's actually like
Yeah.
something else.
So the
I think it
apes-
said like caution air vent or
the
something.
apes.
like that.
Yeah, the apes have like called it Kalima. They think it's a temple to Semos. Semos is like their god.
They're Jesus,
They're Jesus. Their god ape that they think like I don't know,
the first ape,
the first ape,
which
pretty much.
is kind of
true.
a thing from the original movie. But I mean, big surprise, which it's very obvious. The Oberon crashed, and all the monkeys that they had on board went ape, and they they formed their own
Well,
society.
so they seem to indicate in the video footage that they're watching that the monkeys revolted on the spaceship.
Yeah.
Right.
So they were
And they're
already
like, we didn't think they were this smart.
Yeah, exactly. So they
Oh!
were already. Well, I guess they were like the smartest apes they could get because they were.
And let's
training
be
them
honest,
To be space
I think the
guys.
monkeys and gorillas are completely valid in their wanting to escape the cages where
Yes,
they live.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. But then
Which
it's
makes
like,
the ending of the movie very weird.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me started. But in the original, it was a plague that killed all the dogs and cats, and then people started keeping apes as their pets, and then Caesar, the first one, said no, and he stood up and he started an ape revolution. And they kind of do that in the new movies, but they change it a little bit. But I feel like that's a better story. But they
What's your
tried-
favorite Planet of the Apes movie that's not the original one, April?
Oh, the third one where they go to modern day 1970s.
Oh,
and
New
that's the one where
York.
they kill all the people at the end, right? In the director's cut?
No, I'm talking about the 70s movie.
No, the 70s
Yeah,
one. There's one that has a really dark ending where they like.
That's the second one, I think.
There's one with
No, I think it's a third or the fourth.
I hadn't seen 4 or 5.
Ricardo Montalban shows up at the end of the one that you're talking
Yeah,
about.
at the circus, right?
So yes, and he takes. So it was like Roddy McDowell and I forget the Zira. I forget her
Zira
name.
and Cornelius.
Zira and Cornelius. They end up in like modern day. And they,
Somehow.
and they and then they
They
end up getting
fought-
killed at the end.
But they father a child.
They give birth to a child, and then they give it to Ricardo Montalban to take to like the circus, and then it ends with it going "Mama."
And a horrible looped shot. But so it's going to be Caesar. But I never saw the 4 or 5, so I never saw the Revolution.
I can't remember
Conquest, or maybe there's just one more.
Well, the fifth one is really cheap.
Yeah, I think that they lost money as it went.
Yeah, because it also became like a TV series.
That's right. There's this. I can't remember
The live
which
action one.
Which one is which? Yeah, but what was the one when there's like the nuclear bomb underground.
That's
and then
2.
Charlton Heston shows up.
Yeah, that's
like,
2.
In like a white suit or something. Like,
Yeah, because there's like another guy who crashes on the planet.
great.
And then they meet these weird people underground that worship the nuclear bomb.
Oh, and they all have like radiation poisoning and stuff.
Yeah, but they're also like psychic. It gets weird. But yeah, I love the apes being in modern day at the time and just being like shocked about things. And
Because you love fish out of water story or ape out of tree story.
ape out of tree.
Ape would never go in water.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why he's out of
An
it.
ape out of jungle story, if you will.
Okay, so
Yeah, this so
basically there's just a big battle, and that's kind of it.
It's so boring. And like Mark Whalberg has one move up his sleeve and that's it. And then the Deus Ex ape shows up of his
Pericles.
Deus Ex.
Deus Ex. Deus Ex. I
yeah,
think I know
so
that guy.
somehow the his ape, his chimp comes in after him, even though he went into the wormhole before him.
I
But
think
who
I was
knows?
reading about this, and people were saying that they might say it in the movie, but it's like you show up in the reverse order that you go in. So the Oberon came after Mark Whalberg much later, so it shows up first, thousands of years in the past. Mark Whalberg,
shows up, and then Chimp shows up one day.
yeah,
after Mark
like literally
Whalberg.
it feels like one day.
It has been one day, right? Maybe a week. I don't, how long has he been on this planet?
Who knows?
What if the movie ended with that like chimp taking out a gun and like shooting Mark Wahlberg and
That
then
would
talking
be great.
It just like rips his testicles off.
But yeah,
and then-
and his face?
kicks him in the nuts.
yeah, but it's so funny because Mark Wahlberg's outfit is by the end of this movie is just so filthy and ratty and torn apart.
But you know what's
it's like,
stupid about that? It's a futuristic space suit. And it just so happens to get ripped up when he comes onto Earth that it looks just like all the other humans' outfits.
Oh, that's why.
Because he had to blend in. If he was
Right, I
wearing
guess.
like a silver suit, they would freak out.
Yeah, well, they would freak out if he just friggin' talked.
Yeah.
They make a big deal
he
of
does.
not speaking during that dinner scene, and I'm like, just say something.
But they know he can talk.
He can sing.
Sick.
Okay, so the
Well, this
chimp
is-
comes down, and then everyone's like, Simu, and they like bow to him.
Simos.
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 Whatever.
Yeah, but the build up is so funny. They do have this like big battle scene, which I assumed was after Lord of the Rings. I thought this was after the Two Towers.
Nope.
So I'm like, oh, everybody had to have a battle scene in around this time. No, it was before.
Battles were a little different. I was thinking like Gladiator kind of.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe referencing.
So it's like
that.
big scale, like, two armies facing off against one another battle.
Yep, and it kind of goes on for a really long time.
Well, we stopped it as soon as they got to the Oberon. And I'm like, okay, this is the last act of the movie. It can't be much left. There was like almost an
You
hour.
are incorrect.
48 minutes.
Almost an hour left.
Yeah, I knew it.
Could not believe it.
Yeah, so it's just kind of. I mean, yeah, there's some great wire work and great monkeys flying through the air.
He starts the Oberon engine, isn't it? Blasts all
blows
these
up.
apes up into the air, which is really
You
funny.
do see like ape bodies.
There's like
which is
hundreds of
kinda
these tiny
crazy.
little apes
Yeah.
flying. And then this is the dumbest thing. He's like the military leader. So all the apes fall onto the ground and they're all unconscious. And then Mark Wahlberg's like, wait for it. And then all the apes wake up and he's like, now. It's like, no, you
And
would,
they just like beat them with sticks.
yes, attack
Yeah.
them when they're unconscious, you idiot.
Well, that just wouldn't be fair.
But it's not about fair. These are apes.
This is battle. Okay, so the movie's over.
Well, this
the
is-
apes, they kick Tim Roth out. They realize that he's lied. He's been lying to us.
Well, he's fighting Mark Wahlberg, and then
in the ship,
Pericles runs into the Oberon and like goes right for his cage for some reason.
which I don't really like what that's saying.
I don't
but maybe it's just like I want to go to bed type thing.
And then I think like Thade like backhands him, and then the poor monkey. It was good monkey acting, I gotta say. It's it was kind of like hobbling along and like pulling himself. It was probably the guy who was in Ed.
yeah.
Maybe it was Terry Notary himself.
Good.
Terry Notary was in the Ed costume the entire time.
I just want like Thade to like backhand Pericles, and then it just cuts to Pericles in like a hospital bed with like the oxygen mask on, like in Ed.
Great shot in that movie.
Yeah, and then he seems to lock Tim Roth into some room forever, I guess.
They
and
put him in a glass room, and he's
he's in a cage.
yeah.
I'm in a cage, man. I'm in a cage.
And then like he shoots a gun, and then but it doesn't like shoot him. So what happens to him?
It's just ricocheting, and then he gets scared, and he's kind of cowering. The last shot you see, he's cowering under like
So he doesn't die.
It doesn't die, as far as I know.
Well, as we know in the next scene.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Well, this leads to one of my favorite jokes of the movie. Paul Giamatti, he's like immediately rooting through the spaceship for like goods to sell. He's like a trader.
He's great.
And then right before Mark Whalberg takes off, he pulls out the medical kit and he's like, "All right, kids, who wants to buy some aspirin?"
And then all the little apes go,
all the human kids are like, me. Like, what?
Which, by the way, I don't know if we officially said what our favorite things are, but
None of us
I'm gonna
did.
Go
I
with
was saving it.
I'm gonna go with the costumes because
Okay.
if it didn't,
The coward's favorite thing.
it could have won an Oscar for best costumes.
It may have, yeah.
The armor looks fantastic.
I mean, the makeup is fantastic. You can't say anything.
The clothes all look
My-
great except for the human clothes.
And I've been waiting to say this the entire time of this episode.
Are you just biting your knuckle right now? Like,
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to say what my favorite thing from this movie is.
What is it?
So the movie ends. We didn't get to it, right?
boy.
Yeah.
He goes through a wormhole, and it ends with Mark Whalberg showing up on Earth, and it's normal Earth, except Abraham Lincoln has been replaced by an ape.
And not just any ape, it's General Thade, Tim Roth himself.
Yeah.
Is it? I didn't even know
Yeah, it
this.
is.
With like a
The inscription.
haircut.
Yeah, the inscription behind it says like
Like,
you know, all apes owe like General
General
Thade
Thade,
who like
yeah.
freed us, blah blah
So
blah.
there is in a Kevin Smith comic book, a Jane Silent Bob comic book, I believe there's a statue like that from Planet of like that's been turned into an ape.
Uh-huh.
And Kevin Smith talked about this, I think publicly. It's like, oh, Tim Burton ripped me off for his Planet of the Apes movie. And when Tim Burton heard this, he replied with, anyone who knows me knows I would never read a comic book. And I would especially never read anything created by Kevin Smith.
Zing.
I heard that. And then
Kevin Smith replied with, which to me explains fucking Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
yeah.
that out of context story is your favorite thing about this movie.
Yeah, well, because it prompted Tim Burton making this, prompted Kevin Smith saying something, and Tim Burton shitting on Kevin Smith, who I believe, did Kevin Smith do a draft
He did.
of
Superman
Batman Lives?
No, Superman
Yeah,
Lives.
Superman, yeah.
yeah, and then he was booted off, which is you
Giant spider.
watch those
Famous
videos.
story.
They're great.
But yeah, so then all these cops come up, but they're all apes, and Mark Whalberg makes his signature, I don't know what's going on here face that he makes the whole movie, and it ends. And this ending obviously has no story cohesion at all.
Well, I think the assumption would be that maybe he went through another portal and he's in the future. That's the only explanation for this.
Yeah,
But then, then how?
what, back to the same planet?
So Thade somehow
Yeah, he went back to the same
Thade
planet.
somehow turned things around and created an all ape society.
No, but
Yes.
but the planet that they're on for the whole movie is not Earth, and it's
Supposedly.
No.
not supposed to be. But they do.
Well, he's not at Earth. He went back to the same planet.
no, because they show him coming to Earth, and it looks like
That's an illusion call, and you see it in the deleted scenes.
he's like, "Hey,
can't try and
Mark
explain
Wahlberg
this.
even says he's like, "Yeah, I'm back at Earth, bro." I don't know if he says that,
They just wanted an ending that was similar to the ending of the original, but
but makes no sense.
crazier. Yeah, it was just supposed to be like it's like dumb movies now where they're like don't think about it. It just have
Yeah.
an emotional reaction
just like,
to a bunch
okay,
of apes dressed as
Wait a
cops.
minute. So like Thade got here before Mark Wahlberg somehow.
Well, didn't you just say you
Yeah.
get there in the reverse order?
Sure. I guess they like, I don't know.
I need to
Develop
like a
space
diagram
travel.
to explain the time travel.
Like
of this
Primer?
movie. Yeah,
Like-
exactly.
This seems like one of those.
This is how Primer works. Okay, let's
Yeah.
start with that the writer-director star got a restraining order
Yeah,
by
It happened
his...
in the future.
This is so weird. So I think there were like multiple endings that they had either shot or conceptualized. This is the one they went with, and it's just
The one Tim Burton wanted was that he lands in Yankee Stadium.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
all
that's right.
apes that are playing.
apes playing baseball.
That might be funny.
But it's just
Then we
it's
can
And what if it was like, there's no rules that humans can't be on the team? And then he like starts
Then
winning at
that's
baseball.
when you have your Ed cameo.
yeah, he becomes the Ed.
Oh, he becomes Ed.
Oh my god,
got it.
that would be amazing.
Ed 2, starring Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
And it's like a giant gorilla, and Marky Mark standing back to back with like their arms crossed.
Yeah, and the ape is like played by actor Ape LeBlanc.
Ape. Wait,
Instead
so
of Matt
Matthew LeBlanc like made love to apes and had children.
No, it's like Howard.
And
It's like Howard the Duck universe where
he's a nepo baby.
where it's just all the same stuff, but just with like ape in the title.
Ape. So it's like the Flintstones.
Like Raiders of the Lost
like,
Ape and stuff like that.
It's just ape every time. Die ape. Just like replace ape in every word.
It's like the Thumb movies.
Ape Wars.
Oh man, we got it. This is our thumb movie gold mine.
Wow, yeah.
People have loved the thumbs. Now they want the ape.
Yeah. Like My Fair
Star-
Ape. Or,
Star Ape? Wouldn't you rent a film called Star
No,
Ape?
it's
Star
Ape
Apes.
Wars.
It's
Ape Wars.
Ape. No, yeah, Star Ape is the Star 80 parody.
Schindler's Ape, I guess. I don't know.
It's an ape.
Then you'd have like E-Ape.
Citizen Ape.
The extra
Citizen Ape, E-Ape,
Ape.
What's E-Ape?
Ape T.
Casa Ape,
Ape T, the extra ape
Oh.
Ape
terrestrial.
terrestrial.
All right, this is too much.
No, this is good. Copyright.
So anyway, just to be clear,
Ape Side Story.
Is Paul Giamatti your favorite thing about this movie?
Do the right ape. We got it all in here.
Paul Giamatti and the makeup are your favorite things.
Oh yeah,
As
Paul
you
Giamatti is
mentioned,
amazing.
There are great things in
Tim
this
Burton,
movie sucks.
Tim Roth is good. It's a good performance, but it's very one note, and it's.
Yeah.
But Paul Giamatti, he's having fun, man. It's very entertaining to watch.
I am never a fan of characters who are just always angry because it's not realistic. You have to have some peaks and valleys in there, and you can't just always be yelling. And he kind of is.
He's just always like this.
Yeah. So that's the movie, and guess what? It's on Disney Plus.
Crazy.
At least in Canada. It is.
Yeah.
No, it's a Fox movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why.
20th Century Fox. So I'm guessing it would be on Disney Plus for Americans as well.
Maybe.
But you never know. We get our Disney Plus is different. But that's the movie, and
Yeah.
it's over.
It's very dull. It was very disappointing, when it first came out.
Again.
Yeah,
Again, it's just, Mark Whalberg. What can you say?
yeah. So it will go down in history as one of my first hated movies.
Yeah. Estella Warren and Mark Wahlberg. Charisma.
Wait a minute.
Charisma
One of your
dynamos.
first hated movies.
Well, the first
How
one
old
I
would you have been
remember
at this
like
time?
hating a movie. First one was The Perfect Storm.
What, you hated The Perfect Storm?
Yeah, I don't know why. I just really hated that movie.
Wow, you were 14 when this movie came out.
But anyway, if you want to email the podcast, we're at no such thing as a bad movie at gmail.com. And we're on Twitter at no such thing pod. And if you support us on Patreon, patreon.com/no such thing as a bad movie. If you're on the $5 level, you get a bonus episode every 2 weeks. You get access to over 100 of these bonus episodes, a couple of commentaries, Q&As, lots of good stuff. Want to hear us talk about Kung Pao Enter the Fist? Well,
No.
it's on the Patreon.
Yes.
Hey, they voted for it.
Hey, the patrons voted. So that's up there. And if you want to email me, if you want to find me, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at April Atmansky.
You can find me online on Twitter at DeCluJ, DCLOUX, letter J, Justin DeClue on Letterboxd, and every week on the Important Cinema Club and the Very Fine Comic Book Podcast.
You can find me on Ape Twitter. Sergeant
Twit
Sima.
Ape.
Twit Ape. Yeah. SGTZIMA.
It would just be called like Ooh Ooh or something like that.
Wait, I mean, that is very offensive that you think the apes just go ooh ooh.
Well, Twitter is like a bird tweeting,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know what? April's playing 4D chess, and I'm
Wow.
just an ape falling behind.
You can follow me on my verified account on Ape Twitter. Oh, not anymore.
Oh, no.
No, I'm just kidding.
Were you verified
No,
on Twitter?
no.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't paying for that. So anyway, that's it for this week. It's April, so
It's
more.
April. How do we not make that joke yet?
April did.
Well, another podcast I follow is already doing an ape month, and they're already doing an April, so I'm not going to rip them off. But who knows what we're going to watch next week? So
Something involving a CGI baby again.
Oh, God.
no. Anyway, I'm April Atmansky.
Oh, I have a way to bridge both worlds.
What? Is there a CG baby ape?
Baby's
Baby's Day Out.
has a monkey.
There's a baby and there's a gorilla.
Oh, that's right. I wonder if it was Terry Notary.
No, I think it's a little too early.
Guy and a girl.
It's probably like Alec Gillis or Tom Woodruff Jr. I think it's probably Tom Woodruff Jr.
Oh, it's probably Tom Woodruff Jr.
does-
You're
yeah,
right.
he
Alec
does all
Guinness.
Alec.
Yeah, Alec Guinness, the star.
So what do you want me to do with this ape? Do I grab the baby?
Anyway, I'm April Advance.
You want me to?
He died in that costume.
You want me to?
That was his last role in Baby's Day Out. Little known fact.
Yeah, they picked up the costume at an auction years later, and they found a skeleton in it.
His body was inside.
no.
All right, I'm Justin the Clue. I'm Justin
note.
Ape Clue.
You want me to smash the baby's head like an ape would? Alec Guinness.
And remember, there's no such thing as a bad.
Don't even let Colin say goodbye.
He's not saying it.
I've already said
And
it.
remember, there's no such thing as a bad movie.
So you're saying I'm a gorilla?